When I was 17, I was sleeping in my car. When I was 17, a 31-year-old woman introduced me to manhood.
Before Nick Cannon was making news for marrying pop star Mariah Carey, he was making the rounds as a teen actor.
Hey, fellow cast members, thanks for purchasing me.
Now all grown up with movies, TV shows, and a music album under his belt, Nick is wilding out as the host of America's Got Talent.
My game at 17, I was the you never see him coming kid. I was the cute, innocent, curly-haired kid with the dimple. And I was a dog in heat. It was all about girls for me. I was only focused on chicks.
He had a lot of girls that liked him because, he had that charisma about him. He had that stride.
Me and my boys with a rap group called the Bomb Squad. We would just hang out with me and my boys would perform. When I was 17, we weren't doing that well financially. And my mother at the time was working extremely hard. She was going to school. She had a couple of jobs. My mother made me get a job at Wiener Schnitzel just to kind of help ends meet. But I ended up getting fired because I was playing on the intercom system at the drive-thru, telling jokes. That's what I knew I wanted to be, a stand-up comic. When I was 17, I had a plan already laid out on how I wanted my life and my career to go. And I remember I packed all my stuff up in my old school hoopty car, and I actually moved to Hollywood. I slept in my car for, a while, just doing gigs and going to my car and waking up the next day and hopefully finding a friend's house I could, shower in and all that stuff. Doing stand-up in LA, and I was the youngest kid, in the stand-up circus. The one person that would always be in the comedy clubs is Kenan Thompson. As a kid, I loved seeing him on Nickelodeon.
That's right. We're all extremely talented.
I was like, man, I'm a fan of what you do. And we became friends. He knew I was sleeping in the car. I was like, man, come on, I got an apartment in Beverly Hills. You can have the other room. Kenan was an amazing roommate. Not only did he allow me to live in his apartment, he actually allowed me to come on his set, and I became the audience warm-up for Kenan and Kel, all that, and a bunch of other Nickelodeon shows. So I would just be in the audience telling jokes while he'd be over there filming his show. It was an amazing learning experience for me, and he just looked out for me.
Okay, gang, get ready to check out the tunes that Nick and Aubrey were grooving to when they were 17. In 1997, Nick was acting like a bad boy.
Bad Boy had it on lock at the time. Everybody was dancing like Puff. You know what I mean? We was doing the Puff Daddy. Doing the Bankhead Bounce. I guess that was still popping in 97. As we all know, the diabolical Biz Markie is a hip-hop legend.
Diabolical, energetical, poetical, numerical, lyrical, man, Amazon, A-R-K-I-E.
I grew up loving all his music, from The Vapors to Just a Friend.
But you say he just a friend, and you say he just a friend. Oh, baby, you.
So when I was 17 years old, he was actually on the circuit DJing all the hottest parties wherever, from Washington, D.C., New York to L.A.
I met Nick when he was 17. He was at most of the parties. He was a good kid, but he was like Dennis the Menace.
I would always want to get into nightclubs, but I couldn't because I was 17 years old. So in order for me to get into these clubs, I would have to carry his records.
So if he can't come in, I'm not going in. He gotta get in.
And I would always kind of be like his hype man. Every once in a while, he let me get the mic.
Oh, yes. He was my Flavor Flav. Sissy!
I remember there was this one time, we were in D.C., and I believe it was Club Love, and there were thousands of girls. Biz is like, Nick, look at the girl over there. She looking at you. And I looked, and I didn't see no girl. All I saw were women. And this woman who was focused on me, like laser focused, locked.
I said like this, I said to Nick, Nick, she's eyeing you. That means she's giving you the googly eyes, like she like you.
She had to be at least 31. She could be like my mama's friend. I didn't know what to do because I'm 17 years old.
A broken video game had more game than him.
And he was like, go talk to her. She ended up coming over to me and we were talking and I was like, mold me, shape me, turn me into a man. That night it went down.
Fireworks.
That was my first older woman. So Biz turned me on to the older chicks.
Oh, yeah. You look, you got Mariah. Come on, son.
It has worked out extremely well for me.
Time for your last 17 pop quiz. What did Nick encounter for the first time while on tour in Alaska when he was 17? Was it dog sledding, sushi, or a strip club? Find out the answer when we come back. Everybody ready? It's time to find out what was in Nick and Aubrey's closets when they were 17. When he was 17, Nick wore stockings on his head.
Everybody wanted to look like Genuine or Usher at the time. The stocking cap was hot back then, like, cause that meant you had your waves were working, they was cooking. So I would have the stocking cap to match my shirt, to match my shoes, but it was fly. Don't judge me. When I was 17 years old, I had my first road gig to Anchorage, Alaska. And I was like, am I gonna be doing comedy for Eskimos? But it's black people in Anchorage, Alaska. I went up there with a few comics, one by the name of Pierre. He was a comic who's been on Def Comedy Jam, and he starred in a movie with Halle Berry called Baps. He was hot at the time. I had the show, and I rocked the show. I got a standing ovation. It was my first standing ovation, 17 years old. And the craziest thing after the show, they take me to a strip club. I think that might have been the first strip club I ever went to. And Anchorage, Alaska shouldn't be the first place you experience stripping. It really shouldn't. The strippers up in that club, they should have kept their clothes on. And I remember after that, I had my first groupie experience. There was these two college girls, and they mama brought them to my hotel room. Mom was out in the car waiting till they was finished. That's a shame. Alaska's the bomb. Anchorage, Alaska. I can't be talking about this stuff. My mama gonna be watching this.
When they were 17, Nick was loving the older ladies, Aubrey was rolling into trouble, and Donald was marching through Manhattan. What will you say you did when you were 17?
Let this be a lesson.